Hi, it's 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Saving Time. I'll read some more of The Adventures of Rebazar Tarz, new book 6 by Dwayne the Great Writer. I really like how you explain and express yourself, Dwayne. You have made your life a beautiful view of what life is all about. I know about all the torture you went through with Crony, because she liked to brag about it to everyone. It was very hard for me to stand by and hear stories of how she took advantage of you and the membership of the corporation. She calls her followers stupid donkeys. After subduing and drugging Gerald, her ego began to grow even more. She is very egotistical and told many that she wanted to be head of the Deceptors. She wants to rule all the lower worlds with Callum. You want to hear something funny? I heard that Callum knows what Crony wants, but even he doesn't trust her. He knows that she is so profoundly obsessed with raw power, and that is why he will not promote her any further, because he actually fears a takeover if she were to control the space-time masqueraders. What he fears is just like that woman that is running for political office today on Earth. I do not like to even mention her name because you know who I mean. Please tell me more. I like to hear you talk, she said as she put her head on my shoulder. My real friend, besides the real guides, is Miss Kathy. She stuck with me through the years of doubt that I went through. What kept me going was I continued to write and live in my own experiences. Kathy would tell me that everything was going to change for the better, but it was hard for me to see at the time. I took a chance and started my funny business in 2006. And then in 2007, things did start to get better. I started meeting a lot of people all over the U.S. and eventually helping to form a partnership with my funny business. At the same time, my ads for my first book, The Return of the Real, came out in Awareness magazine. One of the other ads in Awareness I noticed was an Indian fellow named Joe. I called Joe one day and then he soon came over to my house and I told him who I was. At first he thought I was a cuckoo product, until he and his friends tested the new sound, new you, instead of using one of Callum's words, Then they immediately experienced the difference. Well, then I did my first class at Joe's house in Temecula. It was June and Miss Kathy was with me. Joe and I went to the store, and when we came out and got into my truck, there was music playing. At first I thought that it was Joe's cell phone, but the music kept playing. He said it was not his phone and began feeling around the speakers in my truck to see where the music was coming from. I recognized the theme. It was the prelude from Superman Returns. As we drove off, the music continued to play all the way to his house. I pulled my truck into his driveway and then had Joe bring his wife out to the truck to see if she could hear the music, and she did. Then I asked Kathy to hear it, and so did she. I would have asked the rest of the class at the time, but I was a little shy to do so. I was amazed myself at what took place. That was, you might say, the official beginning of the new presentation. Right after that class, almost everyone was having real experiences with the new sound. I started filling filling up one of my websites, The Return of the Real Us, with information and telling about the experiences that people were having. During that time, one of my partners, Miss Beverly from Goldendale, Washington, was being trained real fast by Rebazar and the guides. She and I are like brother and sister, and we share all the experiences we are having with Rebazar and her friends like the Goddess of Light. Since then, I have continued on with my classes. Then, August 3rd, 2007, I saw the wave of the is, and then was given the real position for the second time. Beverly was with Rebazar and the real guides as I was given the sound light reality from the is. I really did not think that it would happen again, but here I am. I just finished the third book, The Real Far Country, and then Rebazar wanted me to write the adventure we are in now. When Crony and Gerald see the new books, they will have to decide what to do, because everyone can test the new sound and be shown what is really taking place with all the ploy of the corporation and the systems of the earth. Cool, huh? I said jokingly, as I liked what was going on with us. I felt a little shy with it all happening so fast. I think it's all great, Dwayne. We have been through a lot. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, but I know and feel a great affinity for you. We both love life and people so much, and at the same time we want our special lives to be ours and not just the routine of doing business as usual. It has really been hard for me to be here and under the domineering control of all the evil entities that love to manipulate others. I do love this area of life, but it is better to have the real freedom to come and go and be able to be anywhere. I have seen so many people come from the physical realm and be misled by those who were on the earth in the past. Then there are the real evildoers, and the lords of karma will not let Callum have all of them. They are the highly destructive ones, like the politicians that make wars and purposely destroy others for the sake of dominating and taking what others have. I have seen them go to the bowels of hellish awfulness and then return to the earth in very deformed bodies. There is the beautiful side to this place, but it can become the deception the dark side wants people to fall for. When you become aware of what is taking place, it really does make a difference. I can now see why the real guides waited for this moment for us to meet. When this adventure is done, the worlds of man will see things differently, and you will have given this life a new meaning, Dwayne. Heather has no idea what she is missing, as she is hypnotized by her dreary dream world with her Martha idealisms. We have something so much greater than any earth person will ever know, she said, and then she kissed me again. I had to agree as I looked over my life for the millionth time and what I had been through. I never wanted to go back to the earth and all the nonsense humans so love. I would rather be here in constant danger with something fun like the adventure I was now living. But I knew Rebazar would make me go back because there is no one else who will do what I am doing. This is how subtle life is, and that is our mind wants its pleasures. And as it does, it constantly leads one into their own demise, whereas taking a risk and living the adventure gets one into the real universes of real freedom. The Dream with Callum. After a while, Shar and I were tired, and she soon fell asleep. I watched her for a while as she laid in silence like a child. I was very humbled by the fact of her showing up and making this whole experience worthwhile. I was very tired also, but I kept wondering about what was next. Finally, I fell asleep and soon found myself in a strange place. It was a large hallway in a dungeon, and on one side I could see a long wall with a lot of doors that had locking devices like one would find in a prison. It was a castle-type setting, and the walls were made of some kind of stone that I had never seen before. It was all well kept and clean-looking. As I was standing there and trying to figure out where I was, I heard several people coming from another corridor further on down the hallway. I wasn't sure if I should be seen, so I ran around a corner into another hallway that led somewhere. I stayed very still and listened. I didn't see who it was at first, but it sounded like they were opening up one of the cells as I stayed hidden around the corner. Then I took a peek and I saw two huge, hideous creatures with barbaric outfits on quickly throw an earthling-looking person into a cell and then lock the door. I didn't think much of it at the time, and then it hit me. That could be Harry, I thought. After the creatures left, I sneaked over to the cell and looked in. It was very dark and I couldn't see anything at all. I thought. I wonder if that is him in there. Harry, is that you in there? I said rather quietly. I waited and there was no answer, so I was about to call again when I heard, Arg Haluda, said a voice in back of me. I slowly turned around to see what was next, but I really did not want to look, but then I had to. I was right. These guys were big and ugly, and they had some Teco type of weaponry. I don't know why, but I had the feeling to jump, and as I did, I flew up to the ceiling and they started blasting. I really surprised myself because I was amazingly fast. These strange creatures were putting holes in all the walls as I dodged their beam blasts. It was actually really easy, because I could sense when they were going to fire and where. Then more of the same body types came rushing into the room and took the weapons from the two shootists. One of them was bigger than all the others, and he seemed to be reprimanding the shooting boys for the mess they made. Then all of them stared at me while I was high up near the ceiling. The two other creatures had a really huge-looking device, and then they aimed it at me. I knew I was caught. They shot a net that totally covered all of me and then dragged me down to the floor. Now I had 6 creatures around me as they carried and walked me down the hall. After going through a series of hallways and locked doors on them, we came to what looked like an elevator. In we went and then up we went. Finally, it stopped and the doors opened. Now there was another hallway, and so we went until we came to a giant open room that was as big as a baseball stadium. I was brought out into the near middle and left there by myself all netted up. When the creatures left and moved out of sight, I tried to move, but found that I couldn't. I was actually held by an invisible force that I couldn't break through. As I kept trying to get loose, a pair of huge doors slowly opened from the other side of this large place. I stopped my struggle and watched what was about to happen. Suddenly, a very large figure appeared that was very gross. It was the three-headed god Callum, being carried by his servants, just like the Egyptian pharaohs were carried. I remember the last time I saw the Lord God. He was a big face and all light. Now he seems to be appearing as his true self, a lizard. I would have thought he would have evolved by now, but not so. The Callum god was being escorted by his creature henchmen and also by his band of nymphs, and I must say they were really cute. All of them were dressed in very sexy and colorful outfits that give off their charms. By the look of their apparel, my guess was they raided Target after hours. Callum had a simple robe-type wear that was mainly a silky, shiny red and black competition stripes up and down, a type of futuristic Hugh Hefner look to it. He was looking cool, and I was not feeling so cool. I was James Bond and he was being Dr. No. I watched as they paraded themselves in a dignified manner over to me. I could tell that he really had nothing better to do in his life except come over to me and possibly talk for a while. Whatever. Finally, his carriers put him down and he stepped out of his motorless Cadillac and stood right in front of me. He just stood there and stared for the longest time with his three heads. The center head, which is the ominous reptilian representative, continued to stare me down, while the other two heads would appear to be resting and not really interested. The whole scene was a definite sci-fi reality. Both of the other heads had changed since the last time I saw this entity. The benevolent head now looked like a popular TV personality and then kind of like Gerald, while the other one, the influence, was Shirley Crony, the icon of the earthly corporation. In a way, it was rather amusing. I was definitely going nowhere, so I was fine with whatever he did. "Hello, Sonny," he said with a sarcastic tone and grin with his big white teeth and his serpent tongue wiggling about. "I have word that you have destroyed my beloved family beast. That android took a lot of time to produce. You are a tough being to keep down. What is it with you anyhow? I can see that you are always striving to gain some form of wealth on the earth. But when I offer you anything to you, you will not accept it. But I do have a deal for you," he said as he motioned to one of the creatures standing by him. Then I saw them bring out Shar from another part of the arena. "Dwayne, do not be afraid. This is only a dream that the Callum has projected to make you think that he has you," she yelled to me as the creatures held on to her. "Ha ha ha, this is no dream, Sonny. I have you now and you will be my slave like all the other earthlings that love authority. I will use you to get the rest of the real universal guides to grant me the eternal life I deserve," said Callum as his creatures brought Shar over to me. "Do not believe anything he says, Dwayne. He is an illusion of agreement," she said as she put her arms around me. "Ha ha, how touching. By the way, Shar, your parents are working out quite nicely. They actually hold the record for acquiring more new followers for me than even Crony did in the past. The Earth people are so desperate they will grab at anything I propose. The aliens that are in control of the political and belief systems bow to me, and I will soon have my domination over everyone. Tell me where the real universal guides have their hidden bases, or I will destroy you both, he said with a growling gesture and an extension of his lizard head to me. I will read some more of The Adventures of Rebazar Tarz, new book 4 by Dwayne the Great Writer, tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Saving Time. See ya.